We are less than a week away from opening day. The one in Korea, not the Pirates one. That's in a couple weeks. Dawson, John, the rest of the crew, we are here on this special Thursday edition of Raise It, a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball broadcast. Bid day, debut episode on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We got a bid show, MLB Pipeline. Farm system rankings came out, so we will be discussing the Pirates ranking, which of course means prospect aficionado, the Monsoon. Noah Wright is here with us. Jared Jones, he's been looking great, shown some promise in the spring. Could he be making the opening day rotation? And guys, the offseason, it's been long. It's been so long, some players still think the offseason is going on. We got Blake Snell. He's playing Call of Duty like it's still the middle of December. Most of the guys, though, have signed. We got games going on in Bradenton, which means the regular season is right around the corner. So we got together, decided now would be a good time for us to look back and review the Pirates offseason as a whole. Next show, we'll have a season preview for you, but today we'll be focusing on the offseason, which I don't know if you guys have been reading the papers. Sports media not been kind to the Pittsburgh Pirates about their offseason this year. This team needs to spend more. They should be doing more to contend. All things that have been said. Your bro, my bro, Michael Brozinski is here. Mike, you're a lot closer to Pittsburgh than I have been lately. Has the consensus about the Pirates offseason on the fan side been pretty similar to that of the media?
I would have to say, in my opinion, this is probably the most excited I've been about the Pirates in a long time. But as a fan perspective, I don't know if I could say the same for everyone, but that's just them being down on us being pretty mediocre over the last so many years. National media, when's the last time they were actually ever high on the Pirates? Let's be real here. I mean, we could literally have Jesus on our team. I don't think it would matter until we actually prove it. But
it could be maybe until the Pirates actually start spending some money. Noah, I know you've seen a little bit of both sides of it. Do you think the fans are excited this year? Do you think there's going to be a lot of people heading to PNC Park in April?
There's definitely a lot of people that are going to be excited just because we weren't dog shit last year. Like we were the last couple of years with like 100 or more losses. Like 76 wins isn't horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. And like we were talking about with just national media hates us regardless of what we do. Like we could have went out and signed Snell and Montgomery, and I think that national media would still put us as like the second best team in the National League Central.
Hey, Snell and Montgomery are still out there.
I know.
As of today, Snell and Montgomery are still out there. Still a chance. You never know. I mean, hey, if Snell's going to sign with the Angels, you never know if that brother's going to be a Pirate one day. But there are a few free agent acquisitions that this team did make. Andrew McCutchen re-signed 1 year, $5 million. Always great to see Kutch back. Rowdy Tellez was big. Rowdy Tellez, not so big. Rowdy Tellez, he's lost a little bit of weight. He's been looking good. 1 year, $3.2 million, $800K in incentives. Martin Perez, 1 year, $8 million. Aroldis Chapman, 1 year, $10.5 million. $10.5 million for the Pirates. You don't see a contract like that come through too often. Yasmani Grandal, he could be a guy that could be the main catcher this year, depending on how Henry Davis performs. 1 year, $2.5 million. Ali Sanchez, he's on a split contract, $745K if he makes the MLB roster, $120K if he gets sent to MILB. So you know he's going to be fighting, clawing, doing everything he can to make that major league roster. Big pay difference right there. But of these guys, is there anyone, Mike, Noah, is there anyone we're looking at that is the big free agent signing for the Pirates?
First of all, I think the biggest one is just Aroldis Chapman. I mean, outside of Kutch, obviously, Kutch is the hometown hero, but Aroldis Chapman, honestly, that's probably the biggest name the Pirates have signed in like the last 5 years. I mean, it just gets everyone excited to know you have another big arm coming into the bullpen, throwing 102 absolute cheddar. You know, it gets everyone pumped up.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Aroldis by far.
I do remember the day in the Raise It group chat when the Aroldis Chapman news did drop. I remember all of us just being like, what the hell? Like, really? Like, this is this is the move we made. You know, of course, though, in there, you're looking at it, no multi-year deals. No multi-year deals at all. I heard the Pirates were in on a few guys. that potentially could have signed multi-year deals for, I believe it would be the first time in the Cherington era, correct?
Yeah, I think the last multi-year deal, at least for a position player I can remember, was Russell Martin. So a long time since the last multi-year deal, at least for a position player. I think the last free agent pitcher they gave a multi-year deal to was Ivan Nova, and that was like 2016. So it's been a while.
Yeah. So no bid time, super bid time free agents, of course, as of yet, until, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery still on the market. Never know. But there are a couple guys they miss out on. Noah, do you want to touch on some of the guys that could have been Pirates but will be starting the season with other teams?
Yeah, guy that was with us last year, Carlos Santana. Everyone was kind of upset that we didn't sign him. And I know that Carlos Santana was really fun, and he was a great leader in the clubhouse, and he's really likable. But he's like,
Great guy.
He's great, but he's almost 40, and there's some numbers under his exit velocity and stuff that just didn't look too great last year, and I can see why they didn't want to go after him. But the one I was really disappointed in, that I'm sure a lot of Pirate fans were disappointed when they heard that the Pirates were actually going after him, was Shota Imanaga, one of the Japanese pitchers coming over from the NPB, like the second most hyped guy behind Yamamoto. And it was just kind of upsetting hearing that the division rival Cubs eventually landed him for 4 years, $53 million. I don't know about the incentives, but that was just kind of a gut punch, because not only did you lose out on one of the best free agent stars on the market, but you also lost him to a division rival. It kind of sucked.
That's got to be tough for Shota coming into Ridley, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fly ball pitcher, and he gave up a lot of home runs in Japan, so we'll see how he does. But I mean, I think he would have played better in PNC. I think he would have done better here. So
yeah. The question is, with some of those deals that were potential signings that didn't happen, is just how far the Pirates were along in that negotiation process. Were they, we'll see, we'll check in on this guy, see how he's doing. Oh, he wants $50 million. We're out the door. Or were they there in those final steps? Didn't really hear that much about it. There were a few trade acquisitions that were made. Noah, any of those we're looking forward to in 2024?
I really like Edward Olivares, because we got him for nothing. We got him from Devis Nadal, who I'm going to assume that a lot of people don't know, because honestly, I didn't even know who he was before, and I always look at minor league rosters all the time, and that was not a name who stuck out to me, probably because he batted 120 and had struck out over a third of the time at A-Ball Bradenton. So, and he was an above average hitter for the Royals last year. He had some home runs, batted about 260. So I think that's a big time acquisition, just based on how little we gave up. And obviously the other big one was Marco Gonzalez, who we acquired along with cash for a player to be named later. Gonzalez had just always been a really steady and solid starter for the Mariners. He missed some time last year because of some injuries, but I think he's looked okay in spring. He's had a couple of rough innings, but overall he hasn't looked bad, and his velocity's back up to where it was pre-injury, closer to where it was in the late 2010s compared to last year. And I mean, he's just what the Pirates need. Just a solid starter who can, give him 30 starts a year, 180 innings, and he's under control for 2 years. And we got him for cash and a player to be named later. So,
yeah. And one of the bigger positive signs we've seen, with the Pirates is, as you're rebuilding, they aren't losing too many guys. Most notable players lost. We have our guy, we love him, Vince Velasquez. He's still a free agent. He's likely going to miss part of 2024. Andujar and Perdomo, both of them gone as well, but really nothing major. You're looking at a team that's still gaining a lot of pieces back this year of guys who were on the shelf last year. So that's something to keep in mind when taking in this entire offseason as a whole. But Mike, I want to ask you, Ben Cherington, this offseason, how are you feeling? What do you think he did good? What do you think he did bad? Any areas of improvement for future years you're looking for?
So overall, I think we did a pretty good job of bringing in talent. I think we pretty much addressed every major need. Outside of, I think we could have signed another pitcher, and that's where, as we mentioned before, we missed out on Shota Imanaga. I think that would have just been a perfect fit. I mean, just to shoe him in there right behind Mitch Keller and Martin Perez, I think that would just really solidify the starting rotation. But right now, I think we're kind of relying on a few prospects to finish out the rotation. I think he would have just been a really good plug and play, like right away. Obviously, he went to the Cubs, so that sucks. But yeah, I think we need one more pitcher. Other than that, I think he did pretty good.
I mean, I'm mixed a little bit because it just felt like, yeah, we fixed what we needed. We got a first baseman, we got 2 pitchers, but it also just kind of felt like we didn't do anything that's gonna be like, yeah, that was the guy that's gonna push us way over the top. It just kind of felt like, yeah, we kind of fixed it. I don't think it's a bad offseason. I shouldn't phrase it like the way I did because it makes it sound like I hated the offseason. I absolutely did not hate the offseason. I thought it was a fine offseason. I just think it was just a little bit disappointing overall, but I'm perfectly okay with it.
To me, it felt like an offseason where the Pirates were treading water, which seems like that has been the trend lately. Right now, I don't think there's necessarily a reason for them to get all the way to shore. We still have guys we're waiting on. You still need to see how certain guys are going to play out before you bring in bigger free agent help. The question is, how much are they going to offer that big free agent help? How competitive is that going to be? When is that free agent help going to come? A lot of us, I feel like, are expecting it to be next offseason and the offseason after that. I don't know if that's going to be the case. If you were to ask me a few years ago, I thought it would be this offseason.
Can I add something real quick before we move on?
What you got?
So, just saying that I said we needed a pitcher, but hey, Montgomery, Blake Snell, they're both out there. We know the Pirates love their 1-year deals. Come on down.
They're not
Give me a Blake Snell on a 1 year. Come on,
signing a 1-year contract. Get out of here. They're not.
I would love Montgomery or Snell though.
Boris has not been waiting this long for them to sign a 1-year deal without some at least insane options.
Look,
at least some insane player options.
Look, as long as we get like Michael Lorenzen or Mike Clevenger, I'm fine. That's all I would ask for at this point.
Yeah, Mike, I'd like to remind you, we are a Pittsburgh Pirates show. There's no reason for us to be talking about Snell or Montgomery right now with where we are on the market.
Hey,
But
come on now.
Looking over this offseason overall, some positives, not really a lot of negatives, kind of just overall, If you guys were to give a grade, Mike, will start with you, then Noah. If you were to give a grade for Ben Cherington this offseason, what grade would you give him?
I would say we're sitting here like C+, B-. I think not getting a starting pitcher and maybe another outfielder, I think that brings it down. But overall, yeah, not too bad. I keep a C+, keep her average.
I would put it about C+. Again, it's kind of that middle ground of we did some stuff, but it didn't feel like it was enough to really push us over the top, which you're really kind of hoping after such a 13-win improvement, I think, from last year, from 2022 to 2023. But I mean, I'm okay with it. C+ isn't bad, I don't think. I think that's perfectly average in the end. So I'll settle for it. I think that they could do more by adding one of the pitchers on the free agent market, but we'll see what happens with that. But right now, I'm just going to put it at maybe a C+ at the very most.
Yeah, I'll be going right down the middle at a C. I think there's a lot more that could have been done, not necessarily that should have been done with just kind of where the Pirates are at right now. It's just there's so much room for them to grow in free agency as a whole. I don't know if they're going to be looking to do that, though. We have a recent quote from Ben Cherington I wanted to read to cap off this segment. Directly from Ben Cherington: "We believe and we know, and I think everybody knows, that a Pirates team that's winning is going to be full of guys that come through the system, that come through our development program, draft, international, or guys we identified as younger players in a trade. That is always going to form the young core of the Pirates winning teams. We can use off seasons, whether it's free agency or trades, to build deeper rosters and to find the right complementary players," which this to me just kind of sounds like complementary guys. We're not signing anybody in free agency. worth a 4-year contract, maybe a little more than that. It sounds like kind of embracing that idea. Don't know if it's nutting. Don't know if it's that front office is just mentality as a whole or a combination between the two. I agree with that statement that the Pirates need to have that young core that is there in order to maintain them on contracts and have a chance of winning. But it sounds a lot like they're handicapping themselves, whether it be ownership, whether it be management. They're handicapping themselves from getting over that hump that's necessary in order to win a World Series. But, we'll see. Still a very young team right now. Still a lot of moves that can be made in the future to improve this team. And now it's time for Rate the Take, where we take your takes from across the internet, some of the hottest discussions happening right now in the baseball world. Starting off, we want to talk about Ben Cherington. His offseason kind of meh in the eyes of many people, many fans, many media. He might be on the hot seat this year. So we have a take. Ben Cherington should be let go as Pirates general manager if the Pirates finish below 80 wins this season. Noah, what are we thinking?
I totally agree with that. He's been
agree with 80.
I agree. I think 80 has to be the bare minimum right now. That's only 4 wins from last year. Ooh. And you think that, O'Neal Cruz coming back, you're not seeing as much as Alika Williams and stuff playing shortstop, that you think that at least at the very minimum, that's going to boost you to at least 80 wins. But, he was hired in the 2019-2020 offseason, and we're 4 or 5 years now. I'll give him 2020 because it was 2020. There was no minor league season. No significant development was really done with prospects, and the draft was only 5 rounds. So I'll cut him some slack with that because it was such a weird year. But still, 4 or 5 years later, and you got to start to show improvement after that long. How much longer you got to settle with just like 75 wins? You can't. It has to show improvement at the very least. I think 80 wins is the bare minimum right now for him to keep his job, or at least for fans not to completely revolt against him.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of right in the middle right now. I don't know if I would go all the way to say that he should be fired. I think he does need the chance for one off season where ownership approves it, or they feel like they have enough prospects in place to go make some plays in free agency to improve this team. I think that's necessary because I don't really think he's had that offseason yet. We're still looking at it this year. Later we're going to be talking about prospects. There's a lot of guys that are still coming up, and we need to know if they pan out, if they don't, if they need help at points A, B, or C on the roster. And you can make these minor moves like a Rowdy Tellez, even an Aroldis Chapman adding to the bullpen to kind of aid, assist, throw Band-Aids on certain things. But there's not enough to fully dive in, especially for the Pirates to fully dive in to a multi-year contract. So that's something I think I want to see first. I think 80 wins, less than 80 wins, would be a disaster of the season. But I think to get to that point, there would also be a lot of things that would have to go wrong. I think it would depend on what exactly goes wrong, but I still want to see what Cherington can do if he's given that one off season to cook. Just a little bit. Mike, what are you thinking?
I'm with Noah. There's no way that this team doesn't get to 80 wins with O'Neal Cruz coming back. There's just no way. But say we don't, then that just goes to show that we already regressed, and we're 5 years into truly into the Ben Cherington era. So how can you keep a dude that hasn't progressed at all through 5 years? I know the prospects are coming up, but I say that's the only way I say keep him. It's because you got all these dudes that are projected to come up, like Skeens, Tamar Johnson next season, Jared Jones could open in the rotation this year. We don't know. So these are all Cherington guys. So I feel like it's not fair to get rid of him until you fully see what these dudes have done at the big league level. But I mean, yeah, I would definitely say 80 wins has got to be the minimum. To at least not put them on the hot seat at the bare minimum.
I think the only thing I would say is that I would give him a little longer of leash, because if somehow we finish with like 75 or less wins, then something completely catastrophic that was completely out of Ben Cherington's control happened. Like there had to be multiple injuries to key guys, and shit just fell apart quickly. That like there's nothing Cherington could have possibly done to stop it. I think that's like some slack you could give him there. So that's just my input on that part.
It'd be like he needs like an act of God clause in his contract where just so many things go wrong that it's really out of your control. Which, yeah, I'm with you guys, seeing that being the only way they get to below 80 wins, but it's a long season. A lot of things can go wrong.
I'm not gonna think like
and
that.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. It's definitely a little bit of a controversial conversation that may need to happen at the end of the season, which, speaking of controversial, a few days ago, Nestor Cortes pitched in a spring game, and he debuted what has now been dubbed the Jeets, Jeats, the Gene Cleats, which a lot of people did not like. A lot of people hated them, saying, "Get this abomination off of the field. I never want to see that again." People wanted to go burn their eyes. It was all over the place. Nestor Cortes allowed 6 earned runs and 9 hits in 3.1 innings and said he will not bring them back. I did see some people that liked them, myself included. This take is that Nestor Cortes should bring back the Jeets. Mike, what do we think?
Very much. Keep them away from the baseball field. They're atrocious. I mean, hey, you know the saying, look good, play good. He didn't look good.
They look good.
He didn't look good on it. No,
I like
they look terrible.
They're different. It's a nice look. Show a little bit of personality. You know?
Not at all. No.
It's something different.
He didn't look good, and he didn't play good either.
For me, if you haven't seen these, I strongly recommend you go check them out. There's denim pretty much all over, except for the bottom, like, 90th percent of the cleat, which is probably, you know, where you can't have it just for the sake of playing. But other than that, it is all over. It is pure denim. The Nike logo is kind of stitched out a little bit. Kind of looks like a pocket almost. I think they look great. I like them. Them with the Yankee pinstripes? We not feeling them?
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
No, you're not feeling them either?
No. You should. Okay. You should bring him back if you think you're a Yankee or you think you're a Red Sox fan. That's the only way I could see that you wanted him to bring him back, because these things are ugly and he pitched awful with them. These things look like something that you'd find on a cursed image board. They look that bad to me.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jeet aficionados like myself, he will not be bringing them back.
Good.
See, the Jeet cleats here are just like the jorts. Leave them gone. They're not good. No. There's only one person that can wear jorts, and that's John Cena. And I can tell you right now,
if John Cena can still wear jorts, Nestor Cortes should be able to wear the Jeets.
Absolutely.
No, Cena's the only one that can wear the jorts.
Somebody's got to own it. Somebody's got to own it. Nestor Cortes, he took the step going out there being that guy. Nestor Cortes, I appreciate you for trying to be different. It may not have worked. But hey, next thing, new wave, Nestor Cortes, I'm sure he's going to be right on it. The new wave for the Pittsburgh Pirates at catcher. Is it going to be Henry Davis this year being the starting catcher for the foreseeable future? Noah, is he your starting catcher for
Yes, very much
now
so.
on?
Very much so. I think that you got to put that confidence in your former first overall pick and give him that starting spot opening day. And currently with Yasmani Grandal's foot injury, I think that you just got to hand it to Davis and say, sink or swim, it's yours. I think he has to prove himself out there. He's looked good. He's looked outstanding this preseason with the bat and behind the plate. He's been good at blocking, which was like the major issue when we drafted him because he allowed like 15 pass balls in his first 2 minor league seasons, and he's just looked great in spring training with defending and with hitting. I mean, hitting obviously is just like in spring training, take it for what you will, but I just think he's been so fun to watch in spring training, and like I said, you just got to give some confidence in your first overall pick from 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now.
I've been a little bit under the impression, through some stuff I've read, some stuff I've heard, that it's going to be more of a split between Davis and Grandal. This Grandal injury could affect things, though. Gives Davis a nice opportunity to slide in there and prove that he can be that everyday guy at catcher. The Pirates historically have valued defensive catchers pretty highly, and Davis has not shown he's been great at that. He's improved a lot in the spring. It's been the biggest thing he's worked on in the offseason, has been his pitch framing and his blocking. So that's something that we'll really need to look for, and that could be the difference between him earning the spot or not if his bat stays stagnant. I do think, though, Davis, number 1 overall pick, number 1 overall, out of anybody, the Pirates said, you are the best player in baseball. There's got to be a point where he's got to prove, not that he doesn't need to be the best catcher in baseball, but he's got to prove that he can be that everyday guy and live up to that potential. So I'd say give it to him as well, at least at the start of the year. If he stinks, you got to swap him out for Grandal. You got to do what you can to help this team win, no matter what. Even in the short term, especially right now, this could be a wild card race team. Mike, are you rocking with Davis?
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say, you guys kind of touched on this, but first overall pick. He's a catcher. You drafted him number 1 of 1 as a catcher, not a right fielder, not a first baseman, a catcher. So he's got to be your catcher of the future. And like, how can you not give him the chance to prove it? I mean, signing Grandal, it's like I don't mind that whatsoever. I think he's a good catcher, but not to be the full-time starter. Not when you have 1 of 1 Henry Davis on your roster and you haven't given him that fair chance to catch yet. I just don't. And he's had a great spring, as Noah said. Like, I don't know how you can't give it to him. Like right now.
Yeah. With Grandal, I mean, it's okay if you want to use him to ease Davis back into catching, because he did not catch. I think he got like 2 innings in the major leagues last year. He didn't start a single game. I mean, if you want to bring in Grandal to help to kind of mentor Davis and ease him back into catching in the major league level, that's one thing. But I like Grandal, but I just don't want to see him starting over Davis, because I think Davis has done everything to prove he deserves this chance.
Yep. And Davis, especially props to Davis for how much he's shown that he wants to make those improvements, that he realizes, like, yeah, these are necessary for me to still have a job here. He knows, they can move on. They can move into right field, which would tank his potential value as well. But he knows this is what I need to do to be a everyday major league catcher, and he's doing his best to make those steps. So shout out to Davis as well. But there's another Davis out there who is not having a very good time right now. JD Davis, we're going to run it back. We're going to tell the full story for everyone. So this is a story a little bit outside of the Pirates, but affects general MLB as a whole, especially the Pirates, because JD Davis may be knocking on the door to Pittsburgh and could be on his way. So JD Davis, the Giants signed Matt Chapman. JD Davis was the starting third baseman for the Giants. Matt Chapman comes in. JD Davis, you're not the starting third baseman anymore. We got Matt Chapman. So we're going to see if we can trade you. JD Davis is making $6.9 million. Nobody wants JD Davis for $6.9 million. $6.9 million, by the way, he won in arbitration. So he won that 6.9. And then the Giants say, okay, we'll put him on waivers. Nobody still wants JD Davis for $6.9 million. So the Giants are, okay, we're given no choice here. No one wants to trade for him, at least for his full contract. No one wants to just take him from us for his full contract. So we'll release him. So something with arbitration. Since they released him 17 days before spring training, they only owe him approximately 30 days worth of his contract. So about 1.1 million-ish. A little over that, somewhere around there. But he's not making that money he earned in arbitration. And he's not going to make that anywhere. So the rule is, as it stands right now, you only get that 30 days worth of your contract, not the whole thing, if you're released 15 days before opening day. Since JD Davis was released 17 days, he doesn't get that full contract. If he was released 3 days later, the Giants owe him his entire contract that he earned in arbitration. And now JD is going to sign for maybe 2-3 million tops. I'm thinking somewhere. I've heard the Mets have been in discussion, which a lot of Mets fans are really thrilled about that one. But this has led me to think, at least, this is a loophole that needs to be addressed. For the sake of the players, I think it's totally unfair to JD Davis. He got screwed in this entire situation. But the arbitration loophole needs to be addressed. Mike, bro, what do we think?
mean, yeah, homie got screwed outright. But at the same time, if the Giants didn't cut him, then they're at loss. And then they look like the idiots who are paying him over what other teams value him at. So, I mean, yeah, in my opinion, I mean, I don't know how you could change the loop. I mean, it's strictly that. I mean, especially when every team does not value what his arbitration was. I mean, it's a little different that way. And it's not even like, it's like in every sport that's like that. People get cut because they're making too much. Like, it's just how it is. I mean, it sucks because the players do get screwed, but at the same time, it's like nobody valued him at 6.8 million, I believe. Is that what you said it was? 6.8 or like 6.9 or something around that ballpark?
Around 6.9.
Yeah, exactly. So no one's valuing him at that. So why would the Giants, especially when he's not going to start, so why pay him that? So it's just unfortunate.
Yep.
But yeah, there's really no way around the loop, in my opinion. Like, it just is what it is.
I mean, I understand from the Giants' perspective. I don't really think we can fault the Giants here. Like, it's a little bit of bad business, but that's just how the business is, man. You have guys fighting for their roster spots every day. No one's guaranteed nothing. And that's just kind of how it is. I think lately, with how late some of the free agent guys have been signing, maybe to try and help guys out, you bump it to 30 days before opening day instead of 15. I feel like 15 is a little short, but it's also kind of rare that we see situations like this even happen. But it could be something that happens more with the free agents now. Noah, is this something you can see happening more? How do you feel for JD Davis here?
I mean, it's part of the business. I mean, this is, if they want to get something done with it, they got to figure it out in the next CBA with the Players Association and the owners. But it's kind of unfortunate because it's not really anything that there's nothing Davis really could have done. I mean, the Giants went out and got another third baseman. They can't put him at first base because that's where Lamont Wade Jr. and your favorite player of all time, Wilmer Flores, is going to play next year. And, left field really isn't an option either because he's hasn't played much left field since his early days with the Mets and Astros, and the Giants have tons of left fielders and corner outfielders and stuff. So he's just kind of stuck in that, well, we got to do something, and nobody wants to take him. So your options are to keep him on the roster as a bench guy for $6.9 million or just release him now and see what happens. I mean, it's kind of a tough situation for both the Giants and Davis because they got to do something. And I understand that they don't want to pay him the full amount of his salary. So releasing him now, I guess, is the only real choice
This
they had.
did get enough attention that I feel like the Players Association is going to be like, yeah, this is a little bit of a bad look. We might want to do something about that. But JD Davis now is without a home, as are many free agents on March 14th. Looking at the calendar, guys, the Dodgers and the Padres play in a week, and you're still at home. And there's still some guys out there, some lower level guys that could be making an impact for the Pirates this season if the Pirates go out and get them. And they're definitely within that range. J.D. Davis is one of those guys. Michael A. Taylor is another one of those guys. Adam Duvall, Tommy Pham. Still some pitchers out there as well. Monsoon, Mike Breaux. What are some free agents you guys are looking for the Pirates to potentially add on to this offseason?
They've already shown some interest in Tommy Pham. Apparently, there's been rumors that they're kind of examining him, and he's a decent player. He had 16 home runs, 22 steals, 256 batting average. I mean, he brings some power and some speed, and he can play all three outfield positions. He wasn't a bad defender. He's about average, and he still is hitting the ball very hard, 92.3 mile an hour exit velocity and 10.7% barrel rate. He's still decent, even though he's getting older. And I mean, I would not be against bringing him in. I mean, you can kind of put him at whatever outfield. He can play all three, like I said. So you can put him in left, center, or right, and he'll do fine. Though I think Taylor would just be my favorite. Though Taylor would be one of the ones I would really be happy with, because you put him in center. He's a Gold Glover, one of the best defenders over the last couple of years. Not a great hitter. He strikes out a lot and doesn't draw very many walks and doesn't hit for much average, but he's definitely got to be someone who can give you like 15 home runs from center field, and you'll take that with his defense. And I think that would even be a better fit than Pham, because you can put him in center field, you can move Jack Suwinski to right field, and platoon him with Edward Olivares, who hits left-handed pitching very well, and Suwinski hits right-handed pitching very well. So I think that would be a very good outfield alignment if you sign Taylor for center field.
But okay, if I can add to that, I would say I would still prefer Michael A. Taylor myself over Tommy Pham. I mean, Pham's an average defender. Michael Taylor is a Gold Glover, like Noah said. And, I mean, they're basically going to hit probably around the same power levels. I mean, Pham hit 16 last year, and you had Michael Taylor hit 21. But the big difference is the defense. And I feel like the batting average isn't that big of a difference. So, I mean, I would much rather take the defense if I'm looking at a player.
All right, well, you're always getting on me about loving defense too much and never liking the offense.
Okay, but like
now
in this scenario, I take Taylor because I just think the trade-off isn't as big in that regard. Like, from batting.
I mean, that's still
like
someone that struck out like a third of the time and only had a 6.7% walk rate and a 278 on-base percentage. I mean, Pham's not gonna win a Silver Slugger, but he's a lot better than Taylor hitting-wise. I would take both at this point because I really don't care, and I just want someone on the team who can do decent.
Amen to that.
But I'm just saying that you always get on me for overvaluing defense, and now you're starting to do it.
I understand, but like, it's not that big of a difference in hitting. So obviously, I'm going to take the defense of Michael A. Taylor over Tommy Pham, especially when they're hitting similar power numbers. So why not?
Defense may be the priority right now with the way the Pirates have been hitting in spring training. You guys seen the tanks that have been happening on my TV screen almost every day. Not every day, because of course MLB can't broadcast, every single spring training game, because that would be way too difficult. But a lot of homers going on right now. No, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this power surge the Pirates have been having in this spring?
So they added another home run today, so they have, I think, 32 home runs, and it's just really exciting because you're seeing they lead the league in home runs, and that's like shocking because you didn't. It's the guys that you want to see hit well. You got, I think Cruz has 5 now, and Davis has 4. Kutch has gotten a hold of 2, I think. I don't. Smith and Jig has just been surprising, and I know they just recently optioned him, but he's done well. Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's obviously very fun defensively. He looked outstanding in the second half of last year, and that power is just starting to come around now. And he's
balling.
Yeah, and that's so exciting because it's like if he could be if he can even hit like league average, he would have been a great like 4-WAR third baseman or something like that. No, there's a guy that could probably hit like 280 and have an 800 OPS and like provide 18 home runs, and it's exciting because you're looking at someone who can be both a good hitter and probably the best defensive third baseman in baseball by a pretty wide margin. He's better than Nolan Arenado. I don't want to hear anyone else say anything otherwise. But
You're right. I'm with you, Noah. I'm with you.
Me
that's
too.
awesome. But I mean, give me a decent hitting Ke'Bryan Hayes like he hit last year, and you're going to get probably the most valuable third baseman in baseball just because of how good he is defensively. It's not even close of how it's nobody else is even close. I don't even know if there would be another infielder close to him defensively. So him showing off more of that power like he did in the second half of last year is just super exciting. And overall, the team just showing off more power is super exciting, considering that they had the 28th most home runs last year.
Yeah. It's been from, the guys you want to see it too, which is the most encouraging part. Like you mentioned, Davis, O'Neal Cruz, Njigba, even though he got option, that's unfortunate. But Ke'Bryan Hayes as well. Ke'Bryan Hayes, I think
I love
one day
Hayes.
if Ke'Bryan Hayes keeps it up, he could be dark horse for MVP. If it's going to be anybody on this team, I think it's going to be Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Wow.
That's a hot.
Bit of a dark
That's a
take.
hot take.
I think he has that potential with how good his defense is.
Yeah.
But, still some room to grow. And still some room to grow, and has been growing into it. Jared Jones has been looking good this spring. And we're looking at a rotation. A lot of questions at the back end. We don't really know who it's going to be. Jared Jones has been looking really good. Is he going to be that guy? Mike, is Jared Jones that guy?
God, I hope so. It would just be so fun. I mean, right now it's so open after Mitch Keller and Martin Perez. I mean, we all kind of hoped that Roansy Contreras would step up and take it over, but he hasn't. I mean, he's still having control issues.
He'll be okay. I still have hope in him.
He's just having control issues right now, so I can't say he solidified it. I mean, Luis Ortiz hasn't looked great, neither has Quinn Priester, so no one's really grabbing that spot. But Jared Jones, he's stood out. He's had a great spring so far. I just think the whole mantra of the Pirates is just being the young Bucks right now. And what better way than to put Jared Jones in the opening day rotation just to give this team some juice. Much needed juice, may I add. I think it'd be awesome.
I think Jared Jones is just super fun to watch because, I mean, when was the last time the Pirates had this kind of a starting pitcher? I don't know if they've ever had a starting pitcher who's just out there throwing like 97, 100 mile an hour darts in the strike zone. And it's just, I don't think they've ever had a starting pitcher with that electric of stuff. I don't think, maybe Garrett Cole, but still, I mean, it's just so rare to see a pitcher have powerful stuff where they're regularly hitting 100, 101 miles an hour, topping out around there, and just being good. Because there's a lot of guys who just throw that hard and just have no idea where it's going. But Jones knows where it's going is the fun part too, because he's good. He has decent control, decent command, and I mean, there's a reason why he's our top 100 prospect by most sites. So I'm very much rooting for him to make the rotation.
I think he should be in there,
Absolutely.
Especially at the back end if they don't sign a Lorenzen in free agency or any other rando that's out there right now. He's got to be the guy at the back end, and yeah, that bumped up juice at the going into the season, I think is something this team needs right now. It's something that'll get some people talking. He's the number 62 prospect by MLB Pipeline and Fangraphs, 74 by Baseball America. He was pretty solid last year in AAA, and this year he's looking like he's taken a really big jump. And with your other options, I think he's got to be one of the better ones, at least the most entertaining option to fill out that back end of the rotation. And 62, I'd honestly put him a little bit higher than that. But prospect rankings just came out about a week ago or so from MLB Pipeline. The Pirates system ranked the 9th best in baseball. We mentioned it at the start of the show. We have prospect aficionado. The Monsoon Noah Wright is here. Noah, I'm just going to go ahead and let you cook a little bit talking about this Pirates system. How are we feeling about the ranking? How are we feeling about some of the guys in the system? Is there anybody you're looking for coming up this spring or this summer for the Pirates?
So they ranked him number 9th, and I think that feels about right. I mean, they lost a lot of guys just to guys graduating prospect status. I mean, over the last year, you had Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez were obviously the big ones, but you also had Luis Ortiz, Leo Verpiguero, G1 Bay. You lost 5 guys that were probably within the top 15 of most sites. So, I mean, they lost a decent amount of talent off of prospect list, but I mean, number 9 is still really good considering how much they've lost over the last 2 years in just terms of rankings. But 9 seems about right. I'm okay with that. And you look at the top guys who are in the top 100 on their list. It's a lot of pitching. You got Skeens, Tamar Johnson, who did great in spring training before getting optioned, Jared Jones, Anthony Solomito, and Bubba Chandler. And out of those guys, I'm really excited to watch Bubba Chandler, just because of he's just he's just one of the most athletic, probably one of the most athletic minor league prospects, if not the most athletic pitching prospect, because he was originally drafted in 2021, 3rd round, as a shortstop right-handed pitcher. He was a two-way player. The Pirates gave him some reps at shortstop in the low minors in 2021, and as a DH the next year. He did not hit great, struck out a lot, so they were like, all right, we're just going to fully commit to him as a pitcher. He did outstanding in the second half of last year. He had an ERA below 2. He cut his walk rate down by like 5%, so that was awesome to see, because that was a big question. Like, well, how's he gonna translate that command and stuff? Because you want to see guys who are that athletic start to get that command in, and he was just hitting the strike zone really well, getting a lot more swings and misses on his changeup and stuff. And I think this might be a little hot of a take. I think he's the second best prospect in this system behind Paul Skeens. He did so good last year. He did so good last year in the second half. He's extremely athletic. I think the ceiling is in the heavens. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think he has everything that you'd want to see from a pitching prospect, is basically what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if I'm putting him above Johnson, but he's definitely up there. So you would say, of the guys in this system, he's the most underrated guy for you?
Yeah, kind of, because he was only ranked 93rd. I think he should be like top 50 at the very least. I mean, MLB Pipeline have him at 93rd. You saw some other sites put him a little higher, but yeah, I think that you could say that he's kind of underrated just because no one really talks about him. But if you want to talk about someone who isn't rated as like a top 100 prospect, who I think is underrated, I think they kind of rated Jun-Suk Shim pretty low. They put him at 18th. I mean, this was a guy that was projected to be one of the top picks in the KBO draft, and he decided, all right, I'm just going to take my talents to United States. Pirates inked him to a pretty big international deal, and I mean, he averages already in the mid 90s and tops out 100 miles an hour, and he's also got some athleticism, and he already has shown some control. He was injured for part of last year, which is, I really think, the only reason why he didn't get bumped further up, because if he stays healthy and pitches like, I don't know, even just 50 innings at rookie ball or the Florida Complex League, I think he's like top 15. I think he should at least be top 15, but I think that's a guy that in the next 2 years, you're talking about him being another top 100 prospect.
All right. Mike, taking a look at this list, quite a few Pirates. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pirates in the top 100 of MLB Pipeline. Anybody in here that's your favorite? Anybody in here you think is a little bit overrated?
So if I had to pick a favorite, a lot of Pirates fans are going to say it's definitely Paul Skeens. Brother just got the aura. Massive frame, dude. He's huge. Got the nice stash, throwing in some cheddar.
He's got a lot of confidence, too.
A lot of confidence.
But, a lot of confidence with that girlfriend of his. That's right.
Hey, I would too. I don't blame him. But, I could also argue that he's most overrated. And hold on before you starts screaming at me. I'm not saying he's bad by any means.
Dude, come on.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad, because obviously he's not. He's the number 3 prospect in baseball. But I think just by the expectations that MLB fans and Pirates fans are putting on him, like, they expect him to come up and immediately be the ace and pretty much be like a top 10 pitcher in all of baseball, which to me I think is just unrealistic, especially for a guy that hasn't pitched in the minors. Year. Yeah,
you don't see that a lot with young pitchers where they just come up and start lighting it up. Yeah, it takes a while for certain guys, especially that do have nasty stuff. Like Logan Webb, he came up. It took him a few years before he's the ace he is now. So I agree with you in the sense of, viewing him as like this great savior that's going to come, especially when he's a guy who's pitching every 5 days, and he's really just getting used to pitching every 5 days now. I don't think that's going to happen off the start. I think that ceiling is still definitely there for them. I have all the confidence in him that he's going to reach that ceiling of being a top 10 guy in baseball. He definitely has the potential to do it. I'm with you though, thinking it's not coming as soon as everyone thinks. If it comes sooner, I'll be doing cartwheels out in the street.
We all will. We all will. And I pray it does. Because, I mean, that would just be great for Pirates baseball.
You know for a fact he's going to come up and have like a 3.50 ERA, which is outstanding for a rookie pitcher. But people are like, oh, he has a 3.50 ERA. He's a bust. They should have taken they should have taken Wyatt Langford. They should have taken Dylan Cruz. It's like, dude, it's like how many rookie pitchers who like didn't even pitch a whole game's worth. He has 6 2/3 innings pitched in the minor leagues so far, and I know for a fact he's going to come up. He's going to do pretty good. He's going to have like a 3.50 ERA, which is still very good, and people are gonna already be calling him a bust because he doesn't have like a 2 ERA.
Hey, man, that's just sport culture nowadays. That's just how it goes. He could be throwing the greatest season of his life, having like a 1.5 ERA. You have one game, you give up 4 runs against the Reds. Get this guy off my team. He's terrible. He's washed. Number 1 overall pick bust. That's just how it is. It's just the music that comes with it nowadays, especially on social media and all that. But we are looking forward to Skeens versus Jackson Holiday. And yes, everyone, it will actually be broadcasted on television this time tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Set your calendars. MLB free promo for you. First Pirates game of the spring breakout. Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. Skeens versus Jackson Holiday. Pittsburgh, 4th ranked on the spring breakout roster list. New thing MLB's trying this year, all the prospects getting together, playing some games against each other. Kind of like a mid-season version of that prospect showcase thing that takes place at the All-Star game, or a spring training version of it. And got some dogs in here. Skeens, Solometo, Chandler, Ashcraft, Barco. A lot of guys to look forward to. Definitely check out that game. We'll be on MLB TV, potentially MLB Network as well. Mike, you got something to add in last minute?
I just want to add one thing. I think it's very interesting and very promising that Jared Jones was not added to this roster, because he easily could have been. But they're giving him that chance.
He's coming.
To get to the rotation, and I love it. I love him not being included because it gives me hope that the brother is going to be on the opening day rotation. I just want to put that out there.
That brother's got to be on his way. He's got to be on his way. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching the show today. From Dawson John, the Monsoon No Right, my bro, your bro, Michael Brozinski. We will see you all next week on Raise It, a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball podcast. See you guys.
On radio or TV or down at the park. We raise the Jolly Roger. It's been many years in coming. Let's keep that bucko human.